Hey, hello, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, lads and ladesses, friends and neighbours, boys and girls, and everybody else, especially those who still believe there are only two genders, male and female, made he them. Welcome to Freeline FM with me, Rabbi Israel Ben Heeman. Hey, I'm going to be presenting the Christian Nation blog a little bit later on, but this time I'm doing a sort of interim thing for the news desk. So I'm just doing Israel Ben Heeman, sometimes known as the Autistic Kid, because I'm autistic, which has its advantages and disadvantages when you have the type of autism that I have. Asperger's syndrome, higher intelligence, high function, which is a little bit more unusual than other people, and I can do things like crosswords in my head and mathematics like a calculator and things like that, weird things like that, but I can't get along with my fellow man because I always say the wrong thing and people think I'm being arrogant and rude and I upset people. That's what autism does. It makes you makes you behave in a funny way. So I'm better off behind the keyboard, as it were, and speaking to people this way, and that way there's less chance of me offending somebody. I'm not talking about pandering to the woke lunatics who are offended by everything. I'm talking about general, everyday, sensible individuals who get a bit upset when people say the wrong thing to them. We're all a bit like that, but autistic people tend to upset people an awful lot. It's a social impediment. We autistic people, or people on the spectrum, don't get along very well with their fellow man because they're unusual. What I want to talk to you about today is something that seems to be taking off pretty much all over the Western world at the moment. And I would like to say thank you to the 45th, 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, because I don't think there can be any doubt about it. He definitely set this movement in motion. The wake-up call that's now reverberating around the world about the dangers of welcoming Islam into your country. Look what's happening now to the United Kingdom. What an absolute 1000% disaster because of Islamic immigration. I heard yesterday that a bunch of Muslims in London attacked an Indian man, a Sikh, who was running his own shop, and he was selling meat, but it wasn't halal. So they decided they were going to attack him, try to hack his head off and all sorts of things. And when the police arrived, they didn't arrest any of the Muslims that were causing the trouble. They told the guy to close his shop, and so they pick on the victim in England, the cops. The cops are useless. That's because Starmer, a man called Starmer, who is the Prime Minister of Great Britain, is kissing ass in all the Muslim neighbourhoods. He's terrified that if he doesn't suck up to them, he'll lose the next election. I don't think it makes any difference anyway. He'll lose the next election anyway. He's the most unpopular Prime Minister in history because of his pandering to Islam. He wouldn't support Britain's greatest ally, the United States of America, the traditional ally, the United States of America, the armed forces of our greatest ally, the United States of America. America's the greatest ally of us all in the Western world. We've all relied at some time or another on the prowess of American soldiers to defend freedom and democracy. I can't tell you the price the Americans paid for European freedom in 1944 in places like Juneau, Omaha Beach, and various other beaches of Normandy on D-Day 1944. America didn't need to be involved in that war. Hitler couldn't have done anything to the United States. He didn't quite have that technology at the time, although there was no doubt about it. If he'd been allowed to go on for much longer, he might have got it, and he would have been able to strike the mainland of the United States. But the United States supplied ships, tanks, weapons of all kinds, and literally millions of soldiers to bring as much as possible a swift end to the Second World War and put down the Nazis who were attempting to dominate the entire world. And believe it or not, we're involved in the same kind of fight all over the world now with Islam, because Islam is Nazi. That's all it is. It's a dictatorship. They want to rule the world. They want to tell everybody what to do, and if you don't do it, they'll kill you. That's just what the Nazis are like. And people all over the world are getting in a lot of trouble as well for doing what I'm doing right now, which is criticising Islam. The thing that is always pointed out by the leftists is, oh, well, you're generalising. You're blaming them all for a wicked few. No, I'm not. It isn't just a few. They're about 7% of the population in the United Kingdom, Muslims. Even less than that here in my country, here in Spain, about 3%. More than that in other places like France and Germany. They're about 9%, 8 or 9% there. They reckon they could, by 2050, reach something like 25% to 30% of the population in various countries all over Europe. But by the looks of things, the way certain politicians are now starting to get themselves elected into a position where they can get the Muslims out of their countries and back to the countries they belong in, where they came from. It looks like we've finally woken up in the Western world. Thanks again to Donald J. Trump for waking everybody up. And it looks like the Muslims are going to get kicked back to where they came from because they can't behave. They can't allow anybody to live their own way. They've got to destroy everything that they come in contact with. You look across the Middle East, I mean, like Lebanon. Lebanon was a Christian country. I can remember Lebanon being a Christian country. My wife brought me a cup of tea. And unfortunately, it's now a Muslim country. And it's a shithole. And, you know, there've always been thousands and thousands of Christians in various parts of the Middle East, in Iraq. And I heard somebody say the other day there are now 2 Christians left in Iraq. The 2 Christians and 2 Jews keeping each other company in Iraq. The rest of them are all Muslims. They're ransacking the world. Australia is on the brink of being swallowed up by Islam. But let's put blame where it really belongs. Islam's only doing, or Muslims are only doing, what they're being allowed to do in the Western world. People like Keir Starmer and that idiot Macron in France and that lunatic who started most of this open border policy, Angela Merkel of Germany, they've they quite simply don't give a damn about their own people. Why they decided to go pandering to Muslims and excusing all their excesses, their terrorism, their rape gangs, grooming gangs, and just general misbehaviour. I saw a video the other day. I was absolutely disgusted. The guy came out of an underground railway system in London. Had that Middle Eastern look about him, that Arabic look about him. Obviously, to me, he was an immigrant. And he came out of the station, and right there in the middle of the street, right in the middle of the sidewalk, he dropped his pants and had a crap. People all over the place, and he just did that. And then he had a crap and then pulled his pants up and walked away and left it. You can't negotiate with people with that kind of mentality. There's only one way to deal with that. And, rub his nose in it and throw him back to the shithole he came from. If he wants to crap in the street, let him do it in his own shithole. Don't do it in the Western world, But the wokeists, the leftists, the communists, the globalists, the Nazis, they've empowered Islam to come into the Western world countries and do this kind of thing and believe that they can get away with it. And they are getting away with it because wokest politicians of the Western world are allowing them to get away with it. But we've got people like Geert Wilders in Holland, who has been warning the world about Islam for a very long time. The United Kingdom has people like Tommy Robinson, who the United Kingdom keep throwing him in jail for his opinions, which shows you how far Great Britain has gone down the Nazi road. And they've also got this new guy now called Rupert Lowe, who's launched a new political party in the United Kingdom called Restore Britain. And I hope many people are going to vote for Rupert Lowe, because he says, I remember him saying, we're going to inject new policies into our new government when we get elected. And if that means millions go, then millions go. In other words, you're going to deport them all. So that to me sounds like a very, very good start. Millions go. That's a very good start. But don't stop there. Don't stop until they've all gone. Get rid of them all. Let them go back to the shitholes they came from, and let them crap on their own streets. And let them hate us, because that's what they do. Let them hate us for free. Because all they do when they get to the Western world countries is live on welfare. They won't work. They believe they're too superior to work. They believe that the infidel owes them a living. I watched a video last week of a Muslim woman in the United States of America who assaulted a man, and the man called the police. And when the police came, she told them what she'd done. She'd hit this man, and she thought that there's no reason for her to be arrested for that. That was perfectly all right, because he's an infidel, and she kept saying, "I'm a Muslim. I'm allowed to do that." And at one point, she actually said, "You are not paying attention to my orders," as though the police had to obey her because she's a Muslim. And that's what's wrong. They come with this superior hand, high and mighty. We're in charge. And I heard yesterday that the Muslims in Holland were saying to the Dutch people, "We're in charge here now. And if you don't like it, you can leave. You can go and live in Belgium, or you can go and live in Germany. But this is our country now." They've got about 8% of the population. They're just too stupid to realise that if the whole country turned on them, they'd all be dead. They'd all get killed. And believe me, that is not far away from happening, because everybody in the Western world is absolutely sick to death of them. And we must also make sure that we lay the blame squarely where it truly belongs, and that is with the woke leftist politicians who have empowered Muslims to cross our borders without being checked properly to see who they are, without any background checks, without any passports, without any inoculations against diseases like yellow fever and I heard in several cases in the United Kingdom of leprosy. Would you believe? Unbelievable. I mean, and these people are all on welfare. They don't bring anything of any value with them when they cross the western borders. They don't bring anything that's any good to any of us. They're nothing but a pain in the arse and a bunch of parasites. They simply, most of them simply won't work. And the guys come, they cross over on the Muslim ferry, which is the rubber dinghies that cross over from France into England, and they go into England, and the first thing they do is they go to what they call the free bank, the government office that doles out money from British taxpayers and gives it to these people so that they don't have to work. And they've all got nice houses because they get a house for free, and they don't have to pay the electricity bill or the gas bill. It gets paid for them. They don't have to pay any taxes because they don't earn anything. And they contribute absolutely nothing to Western society. They contribute nothing to the welfare of the indigenous population. They're nothing but an encumbrance. They're a bunch of parasites. So I agree with Mr. Rupert Lowe and Tommy Robinson and the fine lady Marine Le Pen in France and Geert Wilders in Holland and Mr. Donald J. Trump. I agree with them. It's time to make the illegals get out, and anybody else who's causing trouble, anybody at all, and this is the way it has to work. Rupert Lowe says if millions have to go, then millions will go. But this is the way it has to work. They come across into the Western world, the guy comes over on the boat, and then later on he sends for his 4 wives and 19 children. And they come on, they live on welfare as well. And instead of just getting 1 house, he gets 2 houses, or even 3. So he can live with his 3 wives, 4 wives, and 15, 16, 20 kids. What we need to do is, when any single one of them is caught doing anything wrong, breaking the law, that individual, every single one of his family, and everybody who lives in the same street as him are deported immediately. All of them. Get rid of them. And then you take that kind of line with these people, and then the chances of them attacking a poor Sikh who's selling non-halal meat is reduced by a factor of 10. They simply won't do it because they'll know if they do, they will be attacked by our police, thrown into a jail cell, and then him, her, thrown out of the country with all of their relatives and their neighbours. Now, once they know that that is a fact and that's going to happen to them, the chances are the rest of them will behave. Not that I expect that to be the case entirely. I think some of them are just so used to being arrogant and swathed in this crazy belief that they are superior to any other people anywhere on the planet. They simply don't know how to behave like normal people, and they're going to carry on doing the terrible things that they do. But we can carry on deporting them. Jail them first, punish them, and then make sure that they're on the next boat. And if he says, well, if you send me back to Syria, or you send me back to Afghanistan, or if you send me back to Pakistan, my life will be in danger. Tough luck. It's not my concern. You should have thought about that before you started breaking the law in my country. Before you attacked an old man on public transport. Before you raped a 12-year-old girl. Before you molested a 6-year-old boy. Before you shot people's pet dogs. Before you attacked people in their supermarkets. Before you caused all the trouble that you've caused. That was the time to think about your own safety, knowing full well that if you didn't consider your own safety, we wouldn't consider it either, and we would just deport you. And if you get hung or shot or even beaten to death when you get back to your own shithole, that's your own fault. You brought it on yourself. That's the attitude that we need to have with these people now, because they have that attitude towards us. We in the Western world have started to wake up, and I'm very glad to see it. Brothers and sisters, I hope that you will join the fight now to free the Western world from the left lunatic, wokeists, globalists, communists, Nazis. Get rid of them, get them out of office, take over their office, become presidents and prime ministers all over the Western world, and then get rid of this problem of Islam. And how do we know it's a problem? Because of what we've seen for the last 30 years firsthand. And we've even got other Muslims in countries like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and other Muslim majority countries saying to us, you are lunatics to let these people into your country. They're saying, these are Muslims. These are other Muslims. And they're saying, you should never have let these people into your country. It's madness. I think that is a very telling consideration by fellow Muslims, by other Muslims, by Muslims from other countries who decided they didn't want to come flooding into Europe, North America, and Australia. But one thing's for sure, those that have flooded in must now be forced to flood back out, so that freedom and democracy and peace of mind can be restored to the Western world. Thanks for being with me here at Freeline FM. I'm Israel Ben Heyman. Goodbye for now, and God bless you.